All right. Well, we're recording anyway. Welcome to the Kickstart, the new year, and let's hope we have a really good new year, and that this little symbol of technology is not a symbol of what the year is to come. I don't take those things too seriously. I mean, I do take them seriously, but I don't let them define me. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so I am really thrilled to be doing this with you all. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to start the new year and looking at how do I want to create it and what's my roadmap and how am I going to plan it. And so I'm doing this for a lot of different reasons. The thing that's important is to look at why are we here? You know, why are we here actually? So what I'd like to do is hear a minute from a couple of you. So I'll just call you, and if you can say something, Allison, why are you here? What would you like to get out of today?
Well, I am interested in just continuing on learning about image consulting, and I had sent you the email about would it be wise to do the certificate program with FIT, or you know, what is my roadmap? I'm coming to New York in 2 weeks to do the color class with you.
Great.
And then because my daughter lives there, I can come once a month, once every other month. Are there other things that I should come and do seminars with you rather than spending 2 years taking all of these other classes and more money? I just sort of need a guidance counselor.
Okay. Well, yes, I did get your email, and I figured I would be answering all those questions this afternoon.
Right.
So great. Thank you for that. Okay, then I will go down, and how about Alma? Do you have audio today, Alma?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good, great. How you doing?
Good.
What I really want to go forward this year is to really focus on making my business work for me. I've been doing this for a while now, you know, trying to establish myself, you know, so I'm just going to go for it and do whatever it takes for me to get my business off and running this year.
Great. Okay. It's do or do, right?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Leslie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dominique? Can you hear me?
Yeah. How's that?
Yes.
How's that? Nashville.
Nashville?
Yeah.
Well, compared to New York, it's pretty darn quiet, but we are having, 65-degree weather today.
Wow.
Very unusual.
Nice.
Yes, unusual after lots of rain. But I'm here because I love your Kickstarts. And just ready. I'm looking at different things to do to take my business to another level, if you will, from a revenue perspective.
Great. Okay. So money is on your hot list.
Money is on my hot list. Yes.
Okay. That's good. Michelle.
Hi, Dominique. How are you? Happy New Year.
Thank you.
This year, I would like to finalize my learning, which never really gets finalized, but I'd like to complete my certificate at FIT. Also do the skills to services with you,
Yes.
which I registered for, yeah. And I would like to actually turn my knowledge into a business. So I'm going to be doing a new business startup.
Great. Fabulous. So this is a good time for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Mia, I don't know if you have audio. Do you have audio?
Yes, you just unmuted me. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hello?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for doing this, first of all, Dominique. This is my first time, I guess, attending one of your Kickstarters. I'm here because I've actually attended some of your classes at FIT. I need to complete my image consulting certificate. I have 3 classes left, and so I'm just in a change of life. I had triplets last year, And so I started doing image consulting several years ago. I started my certificate several years ago, and it's just a calling of mine that I finally need to hunker down and fully commit and respond to.
Okay. So, but you got your hands full 3 times.
Yes, I know.
Okay. How old are they now?
They turned 9 months the day after Christmas.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Polly.
Hi, do you hear me?
I sure do.
Oh, terrific, terrific. I didn't think this was going to work. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. And thank you, Dominique, for this startup. This is the first time I've done this class with you. Reason I'm joining is because I have got to get myself energized to really work this business. I am just, you know, it's like use it or lose it. So I've met someone that does fundraising for the Dress for Success. And so I thought I'd work with her and sort of get my feet wet. Yeah, and so that's why I'm doing it, because I just need to get energized, because I'm good at what I do. I just don't know how to work the system. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. And you're in New Jersey, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Reddington.
Okay. Great. Okay. So Samantha.
Hey, Dominique. Happy New Year.
To you.
Thank you. I signed up for this webinar because I took your menswear intensive last year, and it was very helpful and very informative. And so when I saw the email hit my inbox, I said, you know what, this is going to be my 5th year in business, and there's always something that I can learn, and just excited to sort of plan and get organized for the new year.
Great. Okay. Well, you're in the right place. Scarlett. Scarlett is self-muted, actually. Okay, and I will unmute Stefani.
I'm here.
Oh, Scarlett? Okay, great. Okay, got it.
Hi, Dominique.
Hi.
I'm just here because, you know, you were my teacher and you taught me a lot, and I've done well with the knowledge that I got from you, and I just want to hear what else you have to say. I'm trying to grow my business, and so far so good.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad to have you aboard. Yeah. And then I think the last person on is Stefania. Stefania, can you hear me?
Hi, Dominic. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Happy New Year to you and to you all, ladies.
Yes. And where are you chiming in from?
I'm from Italy,
Hi,
from
good.
Bologna. It's night here. It's 9 p.m. in the
My
evening.
goodness.
Well, at least it's not 3 in the morning. Yes. So what would you like to get from this afternoon, this session?
I'm looking for the correct and the right road to reach my goal. And I think you are the best person who can help me.
Well, thank you. Okay. So, all right. So we're going to get started now. And we have, let's see, get to our next slide here. So, are you ready for a new year, or are you dwelling on what you did not do last year? This is something that's really common for a lot of people, and one of the reasons that I like to do this Kickstart program at this time of year is because of the fact that I get really clear about what my goals are, and the only times in my past that I have actually accomplished things is when I have taken the time at the very beginning of the year to reflect on, okay, what do I want, who do I want to be, what do I want to accomplish, and then to look at the various tools and resources that I have. But what I've learned over the past couple of years is that it's actually a lot more than that. It's actually having a really clear intention and also being able to align with the right mindset that will help me achieve, my particular goals. And one of the things that, I've also looked at is what a lot of us do at this time of year is we come up with resolutions. Oh, we have to have our New Year's resolutions. And for a lot of people, they join the gym. And then how long do they stay at the gym, is a question. I don't know what the numbers are, but any of you who go to gyms and are familiar with the regulars versus the New Year's, registrants, find out that, after a couple of months, the regulars get the gym to themselves after a while because the newbies, fall off. And so why is it that we fall off? Why is it that we don't commit to our goals and our dreams? And there are a lot of reasons, and I'm not going to answer all of them because I don't have all those answers, but I have the answers to what, has worked for me. And I like to do this, because of the fact that when I share with people, I learn as well. So right now I've actually muted all of you just so that I can provide you with my content, and at different points what I'm going to ask you to do is when you want to say something is to actually just raise your hand. So you can you can type in a question in the question box, and then that will pop up and I will see that as well. But it'll be a little bit easier for us to get through this, and then at certain points I will unmute all of you and give you chances to ask me questions along the way. So going back to, the way that I start is that, my goal today is to help you get a little clearer about what you want, and not only that, but about why you want something. Because the what you want is sometimes motivated by a lack of something, but the why you want is usually motivated by something that's either deeper or higher than the lack. And the next thing is also to find a way to be reconciled with the past year so that you're good with, whatever it is that the choices that you need to end up taking. A lot of times we can make choices about what's coming forward, but if we haven't reconciled with some things in the past so that we can let them go, they sometimes don't always happen. And then the other thing is that, I want to help you so that the new year kicks off, with all the fuel and the clarity and the momentum that we all need and that we all want. So that's my goal for this session this afternoon. Now, why am I doing this? I have made tons of mistakes, and whenever I've made mistakes, I have very often beaten myself up for them and said, oh, you're bad and wrong, why did you do that? And there's always this lingering negative energy that helps me stay stuck. I've hit lots of walls, and I've wallowed in the, oh no, not that again, here comes another recurring roadblock or a wall. And I've learned to overcome these things and these roadblocks, and I know that I can't do things as well and as effectively when I do them alone. And as I said earlier, when I share about my discoveries and my obstacles and how I've broken through things, it reinforces that I may not do that same one again. I'll do different ones. So let me ask you a minute, or just share something. Do you have a reconciliation ritual? Is something that you do every year, on this path of reconciling so that you can make room for the future. So, one thing to do is to be honest regarding the past year and, what are the past year's goals and versus the results that you actually accomplished. So if you've done this before, meaning that you've set some goals and you've set some intentions, have you taken time, midterm during the year or quarterly to actually take stock and see, hey, how am I doing? It's kind of like those quarterly P&L reports that the accountants and bookkeepers want us to do. Well, we need to do that also and, let go of things. Then sometimes listing them is really helpful. and then acknowledging the good things, the bad things, the sad things, the ugly things, and the super, super great things. And that is something that many of us actually don't do, is we don't always take stock and list the great things that we've accomplished that may be very small but very major in your life. I know for me, this past year was kind of an interesting one for me. I started out the year with a focus on partnerships. And for me, the focus is, pretty much business, because my work is my life. And that's either good or bad, that's another conversation. But for me, the word that I chose for the year was actually partnerships. And during the first quarter of the year, I realized that I had a team of people who were really wonderful, and there was one person who stood out in that team who actually is still a part of my team, and all the others, for various reasons, have not stuck around, or they sort of like self-selected out, or I selected them out. And so I ended up the year without a team of partners, but I have the one person who's in my work team who is going to move me forward to my next level. So I was hoping to have many other partners in my business life, because one of my goals that propelled me, motivations to propel me, was the fact that I was tired of doing a lot of things all by myself. And so I didn't accomplish all of those things, but am I happy with the end result? Absolutely. So, and that's because I've decided that I don't dwell on the negative. And I have a few people in my life who I can go to, and they will not let me go down that dark, deep tunnel. Another thing is to make sure that you really and deeply acknowledge those good and great things by celebrating those things, whatever that is. Patting yourself on the back, treating yourself to a pair of really fabulous shoes, or going to a museum and seeing the killer heel exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum that we have going on right now. But whatever it is, I do recommend that we all have our own ritual for whatever it is to reconciling the past so that we can move forward. And that's why I love this Word of the Year as a great platform, the one I sent you the link to from my marketing mentor, Christine Kane. And I've been doing that for a couple of years and found that it's been really fabulously helpful to keep me on target. So let me ask you a question, and I'm going to unmute you so that if you do want to ask a question at this time, you can do so. There we go. So my question to you is, what are the differences between what you must do, what you should do, and what you could do? And I'd like to hear from any of you who actually did the Word of the Year tool and how you found that helpful. So would anyone like to share about that? There are two questions. One is, how do you feel about the must, should, and could? And the other is if you had any discoveries if you did choose a word or a focus for the year.
Well, this is Polly. I didn't do the word of the year, but as we're going through what you're saying, Dominique, focusing on partnerships, and that's probably one of my biggest problems, that I am not aligning with anyone. And that's why this year my focus is to partner with this young lady that I met, the fundraiser at, Dress for Success, and see if I can sort of work with her to sort of so that I can feel like I'm more engaged in what I'm doing. Because when I do it with friends, I'm super excited, but I have to do this for money. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. So when you are working with clients doing the image services that you are providing, are you doing it with just friends so far, or have you started charging?
Well, no, I do it, sometimes I do it with friends, but like I found myself the other day in Talbot's, and this gal was talking to me, and I was giving her advice, and I just don't even know why I didn't give her my card. I could have given her my card and capitalized on that opportunity, because she was going to a party and she was asking me about a dress, how versatile that I think it could be, and and all these questions that I was answering, and she was so happy. And then she looks at me and she says to me, "I knew you were something. You were something." You know what I mean? Because not only did I conduct myself professionally with her, I was well dressed and I was very relaxed and I was very honest. If there was something that I didn't think that she should waste her money on. So I just have to focus on making money and capitalizing on the opportunities, seeing them right away,
Yeah, sometimes that comes from not realizing what an amazing value our services have for people. And
Yes.
looking at it from their perspective in terms of what will hiring us, how will it contribute to them. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Yeah, okay. So, well, I do encourage you to do the word of the year, and you may have just come up with the one for you, which is partnerships, and that's
Right.
it. And also, this word of the year thing, it doesn't lock you into being stuck with it the whole year. You can change it at any point. You can go revisit, because as you are accomplishing things, you will see that your needs and shifts your needs will shift rather. For me, my word for this year is actualize. And, I started out going through a number of different words that I thought were important for me, that I want to manifest things and get things done and all results and empowerment. And then I realized what I really want to do is see things happen. And then when I started focusing on actualizing goals, having them become a reality, I was also looking at what are the things that will happen in order to make those goals come true. And one of them is that I will need to be more disciplined. I will need to be, more committed to certain intentions. I will need to clear some things that are obstacles in my way. I will need to align with the right people so that I am not doing it all by myself. So it's fascinating. It was fascinating for me this year that one word actually meant that there were like 10 other words that are behind it, making the one word possible. So I find it very fascinating. So, all right, does anyone else like to share about their word for the year if they came up with one?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Allison, Dominic, my word is Renaissance, and it's because someone in my family kept saying, "This is your Renaissance," because my child has grown up, graduated from college, moved to New York. It's a time in your life when you think, you decide, am I just going to do my same old things, or am I going to take this time and do something important or special or very meaningful to me? And so as far as, and it takes being a little brave to, step out of your familiar comfort zone, but I, signed up for the class with you, and I've been helping friends and have had some clients, but I haven't taken it to the next level. I've done a lot of planning, a lot of thinking about it, and organizing and everything, but just like you said, it's time to actualize. It's time to step out, go for it, really put the time and effort into it, and achieve my goal. So I'm totally ready.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Yes, it does definitely sound like you're in a Renaissance phase. I think that's terrific. Who else would like to share about their word or their discovery about their word? Okay, so then I will move on. All right, so let's take a look at the what. And what is it for you? So is the what your goal, meaning your goal, is it business related? Is it social? Or is it lifestyle? You don't have to answer for me, but for yourselves, it's useful to know, is it one more important than the other? Because do you prioritize which one is important? Like right now, my focus is on actually business, but for the purpose of shifting my lifestyle. And that will ultimately impact my social situation. And one of my lifestyle goals that's become more important to me is that I want to be more mobile. I don't want to be, as much as I love New York, and I love, I have this wonderful penthouse apartment with a great view and garden, and, I've been here for 20 plus years. And now I've realized, you know what, I think I want to change. And I'm not quite sure where that will lead me. There's a possibility that I may be living and working part-time in Belgium and in the
Ooh.
Which, is a new possibility. But in order for me to get to that place, I have to shift my business so that it can support that financially and also work-wise. And so therefore, I have actually what's driving me this year is a lifestyle change. That's my desire. But in order to make that happen, I need to have business goals in order to support that. So for you, if it is, business focus, then that's okay, and it doesn't matter if it's one or the other. It's just useful to be clear about that. Then let's take a look at the why, and we'll spend a little bit more time on this. The why can be many different things. It could be the why is your purpose, it's your passion, it is perhaps a reaction to something that happened last year. And when we are reacting to something that took place in the past, I think it's really important for us to know and recognize, are we reacting just because we were unhappy with it, or are we reacting because we learned a lesson from that particular result or activity? And then taking a look at, was there anything that disappointed you? Did anything happen that did not, become a reality? For me, yeah, I have to say I have a number of things that disappointed me. I had really hoped to have had this super fabulous team of peers to be working with at this point, and that didn't happen. So am I disappointed? Yes, but it's helping me get clear on, okay, I think I'm going back to where I started, which is starting my business actually all alone. Now, I mentioned I do have one partner, or she will be an official partner over the next 6 months, but she's about to have a baby any day. So she has a few things to take care of before we bring her back into the business. And her name is Lisi Denitz, by the way, and you may have seen her on various posts on the internet and also in the business, but she has translated my entire image builder training boot camp into Portuguese so that she could create an opportunity for her to train my program to Brazilians who come to New York. And so it was one of those win-win-win opportunities that was totally stupid to not do. So we did it. And we've run that boot camp twice already, so that I'm very happy with, and I'm very, very pleased with the working relationship that we've developed thus far. Are you comparing yourself to someone or to something? That sometimes, motivates your why or drives your why. It could be someone you admire or someone you don't like and you don't ever want to be like that person. That is a possibility. What's getting you excited? What's getting you really excited like Allison, you mentioned this is a renaissance time for you, and that these are times for new beginnings. And Polly, you're looking forward to working with other people and collaborating because you're feeling some of the struggle of doing it on your own.
Yes, you just you need people, to talk to get ideas, and that's what I find would help me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Even though I am doing the majority of my business myself for the moment, that's not a long-term goal. But I had some unfortunate experiences with some vendors and also with some staff and with some interns also.
Yeah.
It wasn't a working relationship. Nobody was bad and wrong, but it made me go back to, you know what, Dominique, you need to open your eyes more and not count on certain people for the wrong reasons. And that was a lesson for me. So,
and it's better to have no one than, you just be choosy and pick the perfect people.
Yes, for the moment, yes.
Or, not the right word, but they just hinder you sometimes, so.
Well, it's also that some people do the right work, but they're not necessarily positive, and so therefore, by not being positive, they actually are draining, and that
absolutely.
It can have a huge consequence, which I experienced. But anyway, we move on, and then who do you want to be? It's not like, do you want to be a fireman or a policeman or that kind of thing, but who do you want to be in the world? Who do you want to be? How do you want to be known? What do you want to be known for? How do you want to experience who you are in the world? Do you want to experience yourself as a leader or as a supporter or as a fabulous mother or a fabulous, spouse or partner? Or do you want to be known as a team player as opposed to a leader? Any of those things are all, perfectly good. There's nothing wrong with anything that you want to be. But I think it's useful to reflect on who that is and what are the characteristics and qualities of that person, because getting clear on those things helps you be clear on what you want to do next, which leads me to what's on your plate and what is it that's in the way. So one of the things that's really helpful is to, make a huge list for some people. In my case, it's a huge list of all the things that are on my plate. And they could be things that are incomplete as well as things that are goals. So, and you'll probably need to identify which of the things that are incomplete, meaning that they're left over from last year, and so that you can, reprioritize them or boot them because they're no longer your current goals. That's what's beautiful about this time of year, is that we don't have to carry with us forward last year's baggage if we're on to a different flight. We may be on a different path, and we no longer need the snow gear because we're going to warmer climates. So that's where making a list is really useful. And when you make the list, try not to put any emotion onto all those things that are on your plate. And then you can, put them in a priority in a time frame, meaning that look at I'll just put the whole list up here. Put the things that are on the list in a time frame, meaning that, okay, I have to get this done now because if I don't, there's a consequence. Or, you know what, this is less important than, item number 7, so therefore I will put item number 7 at the top of the list. Look at what's really essential, to get done. What are the things that are required, that are useful, that are fun, and what's fulfilling? Because sometimes what's fun and fulfilling are helpful on another level. Like for me, I know that when I'm doing something physical like gardening or, fixing things, I'm a fix-it person, or where I'm, reorganizing files and systems and things like that. That's actually fun for me, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I get pleasure out of it, but it also allows my mind to drift. And when I'm ironing is one of those things. Some people say, oh my God, will you come over and do my ironing, Dominique? And when I do ironing, it's mindless, and it's an opportunity for me to let my mind drift, and then new ideas come into place.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are on a go, 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 go schedule where you have your week and your days so filled up with appointments and with obligations, at the end of the day, you have no bandwidth to think about whether it was a good day or not a good day. It was just a day, and it happened. And I think that, you know, giving yourself time on a daily basis, I don't mean hours and hours of ironing, but give yourself some time, whether it's at lunchtime, you go take a little walk, or you know, in my case, I could leave my apartment since I work from home. But scheduling, you know, a meetup with someone so that you can actually get things done. Okay, then looking at what's in your way. Are there any things that are in your way that you have to get done? Do you not have the time? Like, I know some of you have day jobs. I know, Michelle, you've shared that you are working at a school. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I work for the high school.
Yes. So,
yeah, full-time job.
Yeah. So you have you know, a situation. You have a condition. It's not a problem. It's a condition. Is there's a day job, and that requires that you show up and be present at, you know, because you have obligations to that day job. But it also provides you with income, which is good. I always say that in the very beginning, for image consultants in particular, to not give up your day job and until you have total clarity about where are your revenues going to be coming from and where are they going to be appearing from. They don't just appear, we manifest them, we attract them, and that happens when we have clarity. So the clarity comes from having taken the time to think about the goals, to think about the qualities, to think about who do you want to be and why, and then looking at, you know, your other commitments and how you're going to do that, and then also looking at what might you be afraid to let go of. What might be something that you're not letting go of because you're afraid of what's behind it. And for a lot of people, it's, you know, they don't move forward because of a fear of some kind. Believe it or not, for a lot of people, it's a fear of success, or what would they do if they actually had time. This happens for people who have had 9-to-5 type of existence for the majority of their adult life, and then they're faced with the possibility of retirement, and they've never had other activities in their life. My dad, who passed away at the age of 65, he never retired because he didn't know what to do with himself. And the truth is, you know, my family, we're in a little bit of fear of, uh-oh, what's going to happen to us when he retires, because he won't know what to do. and that's common for a lot of people, is to have that fear. So then, whoops, what's going on here? Little technology. Okay, moving on, rituals. So moving on, rituals are things that happen, like some people just make lists, and, you know, they do that, and then letting go. Burning sage. Oh, I recently was doing a lot of sage burning around here. And people will do that to kind of like change the energy, and they'll meditate, or they'll put thoughts, symbolic thoughts, negative thoughts in either a real balloon or in a symbolic balloon, and then they just let it go. You know, that's another way of letting things go. changing your habits might be a moving on ritual. And I think that with all these things that I'm suggesting, they're all possibilities. They're all options. They're not things you have to do. Creating new habits is probably the thing that we all need to do that will help make things happen. And habits could be how you start your day and how you end your day. And maybe taking a breather break in the middle of the day and asking yourself, am I on track? Something as simple as that might be, you know, the one thing that will shift the energy. Getting an accountability buddy, oh my gosh, that is absolutely wonderful. I have had some in the past over the years, and I have a couple of key friends that to whom I go to, and we kind of have a share exchange where we will share our goals for the week, and then, or for the day or the weekend, and then we will look at, okay, I did this, what did you do? And it's very motivational. It's like having a cheerleader, someone who's going to motivate you. Sometimes, you know, moving on rituals means getting coaches or classes or books and looking at, you know, where do you need other education or learning more skills to equip you with whatever it is that you need to move forward. So how do you make the right choices? So what do you think you need to do to make the right choice? That's a question to anybody.
Dominique, I think you make the right, this is Michelle, by the way. Yeah. I think you make the right choice, and this is something I've just learned this year, by going with your gut feeling or your intuition and not pushing it aside and really weighing out the balance, the negatives and balances of that choice, and then just following your intuition.
Yes, that's great. Yes, that's really helpful to do that. And a lot of times that we think that something is an obstacle when really it's our intuition telling us to stop. Ah. And that has happened to me many, many times when I have had a recurring problem. And I don't know if any of you have experienced having a recurring problem. That means that the same scenario keeps reappearing. And I wonder, well, why does this thing keep happening? And it's because I'm not supposed to be doing it. And it's the universe's way of telling me, Dominique, you did this one before. Move on. So intuition is really great, but you can't do that when you've got too much in your head.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. Michelle, do you have an example that you'd like to share?
Well, the same as you. I go against my intuition, but I think mine is more out of fear, and I'm not sure if it's the fear of success or the fear of failing.
Okay.
So, and I've made wrong choices because of fear. And I've gone against my intuition, where I should have taken opportunities and didn't, and vice versa. You know, turned down opportunities because of, you know, nonsensical reasons, just voices in my head that go against my gut feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you know you would be good at it, or you know that's the direction you should take, but you're scared to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I think most women are.
Well, many women are, absolutely, and I have had my share of those. You know, I'm no different than the rest of you. I have accomplished a lot of things, and I'm very proud of them. But I have had those you know, those things happen too, and I am very grateful that I've surrounded myself with some key people who won't let me get away with being small. And that's sometimes is a fear of being big, and what does that actually mean? And I'll share, there was a huge breakthrough that I had about 3 years ago. And it was, I was asked to speak in Mexico at a conference. And the man who's running this conference, his name is Victor Gordoa. And he is the founder of the El Colegio de Imagen Pública, which is actually a 4-year college in Mexico City with the specialization in image consulting. And I've known Victor for 15 years, about 15 years when I first met him. So he contacted me and first asked to have a group of his students come to New York for a visit. And this is when I had my big office on 38th Street. So I said, okay, sure, I'd love to, host your students for when they're in New York. How many? He said 30. And I said, ooh, I can't host 30. I only have room for 15. So we did 2 sessions, and it was just a friendly exchange, and they wanted to learn about, how do I do my business in New York. And so I had that session, and then about a month afterwards, they invited me to come speak at their conference in Mexico City. I said, great, I'd love to go. I had already been to Mexico City and spoken at a very small conference, but it was very prestigious to be speaking at his group, and it was like a coup for me on some level, big, huge accomplishment. So I'm getting ready to go, and I said about a month before, I contacted the organizer, and I said, oh, by the way, I'm finalizing my plans, and I do have a PowerPoint. However, I will be speaking in English, but I can do the Q&A in Spanish because that I was comfortable doing. And they said, no problem. And I said, oh, and by the way, how many people are you anticipating? And they said, 900.
Whoa!
And I said, oh, okay. So there wasn't 900, there were 1,200. So, and I was the last speaker of the day. And before each speaker, there's this big multimedia introduction on video that introduces the person, and Dominique did this, and da-da-da-da-da, and she founded AICI, and da-da, all this like stuff, and I'm waiting behind the stage, waiting to go on, and I ask the guide, the person who is waiting, to send me out there, and I said, how come I'm the last speaker? And she said, oh, Dominique, you're the keynote. I said, oh, okay. In that moment, I became the keynote, completely embodied energetically at every molecule of my body. And I walked out onto that stage feeling so amazing, so fabulous, so like accomplished, like I had just jumped out of an airplane. And I have jumped out of an airplane years ago, but this was, but I don't know if I had realized that before, if all my fears would have come into play, but in that moment, I knew that I had an obligation when I was out on that stage to be the person that they were expecting to show up. Right. And after that experience, I decided that I want to be that person. I like that person. I like being the yes. And so that's actually on my hit list for this year is to do some keynote presentations for that. So the point is that, I had to face a fear, and then, I didn't have any time to face it because I just thought I was doing a 30-minute presentation with Q&A. And like what we're doing now. And no. So I encourage you to keep listening to your intuition. And I was glad that I asked how many people were showing up. So I did have a sense that it was going to be a big deal regardless. But anyway, so the thing to do that's really important is clarity. Is having clarity on everything that you possibly can have clarity on. So what are the steps that you're going to take? Has to start with your destination. Your destination and that's why I like to use the term of a roadmap, because with a roadmap you can then decide what do you have to pack. for that trip? Are you going on a trip to the tropics? Are you going on a trip, a road trip to go skiing? Do you have to bring gear? Do you have to bring fancy shoes? Do you have to bring lots of makeup? Do you have to bring your hair stuff? What is it that you need to get to that particular destination? Well, the goals are pretty much the same thing. We need to know where is it that we want to end up, and then we have to decide, what do we need in order to get there. So let me go back to some of your particular questions at this point, because I did want to offer that opportunity to you here and really explore what some of the next steps are. So, Ellison, for you, you mentioned that you're questioning what kind of skills that you might need that would be most advantageous for you, and the way that I will answer that, or explore that. It's really not a single answer. Is to look at what is your end goal in terms of what you want to be offering to clients. And that would mean you can look at it from the concept of a business in terms of what are the services that you want to be offering, to whom would you want to be offering them, and why would those particular people both want and or need those particular services. And then looking at, when you identify what those things are, then look at what are either the skills that are needed or the materials that are needed. Like you're coming up to New York to learn color analysis, which is fabulous. And so we get to meet face-to-face in a couple of weeks.
I know, I'm so happy.
Yeah. And so you're taking that step in terms of a tangible skill that you could actually offer right away.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of the people on this call offer color analysis, and therefore they could, share with you, how they work with it, or other people can as well. So that's one thing. Now, with regard to the FIT program versus live programs, being the facilitator of the FIT certificate program, I'm not going to say it's a bad program. And this is what I share with anyone who's questioning which educational path should they take. Part of it depends on your learning style. Some people learn very happily online, and some people do not. Some people do not have the option or the facility of traveling to a live location, and some people, do. So that's an influencing factor. The other thing is time frame. The FIT certificate program takes at least 1 year, if not in order to complete it. And then the last part of the FIT question is having the certificate important to your clients?
Right.
There's having, when you get live training classes, at least for me, I give a certificate for every program that I offer.
Right.
And so therefore, you do get certification, but for some people, they would prefer to have the certification from FIT. Now,
well, which I understand. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, when people take classes, you can always say with total honesty that you have studied at FIT.
Right.
And that's an honest comment.
Could you do a combination like image consulting 200, image consulting 300? I'm not sure I'll ever be working with men or in a corporate situation. I mean, I'm not 100% sure I wouldn't be, but I don't see that as my main goal. If we're talking about goals. But so I didn't know, like, if I took the live courses like you're talking about through you, if I took those, a few others at FIT without getting a certificate, would that be a possibility? Does that, I guess you're just saying everything works for different people differently. You just
yeah, for example, I know someone who is a very successful image consultant in New Jersey, and she specializes in working with men. She chose to only take the Introduction to Image, Image 2, and Image 3. She chose not to do the whole certificate. And then she has augmented her skills by private classes from various trainers along the way. And she picked and chose the classes that she took because they supported her particular business goals. And you know, that was her choice. So you can do, if you do all the classes for the certification with FIT, in your case, you'd probably need to take them online because of the distance. But whether you need to take all the classes for the certification, I think that I think when you come up in a couple weeks for the color intensive, we can certainly talk again about that. And
okay, that would be good.
And I think that again,
there's the business aspect of it.
Yeah, like the 3-week program that I'm launching next week, which I'll tell you about at the end of this, is really about getting the business started. So it's about the focusing on the goals and using that. The other options that that I have live are more skill based, and so therefore we could talk about that separately because I'm not sure everyone has these same.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the beginning part. Yeah, but the main thing is to start with clarity on where you want to end up and time frame. Now, Leslie, I want to go to you because you had mentioned that you want to increase your revenues.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I think every single one of us wants to increase.
Everybody does. No, it was my second, 18 months in business, I guess you say, second year, and there was some nice progression. I did a couple of group workshops, one with a group of entrepreneurial women and another with a corporate program in New York. And I really loved the group work. I kind of knew that going into it just based on what my background was. But I found, I did actually start Christine's exercise on the word, Christine Kane's exercise on the word, and I really am kind of been going back and forth and looking at that while you're chatting here. That I think abundance is really what I'm looking for. I think that's my word for the year.
Oh, good.
And abundance, yes, could be more money, as everybody would like. But one of the reasons I'm doing this at this stage in my life, for those who don't know, I guess I consider myself an extremely active retiree from the corporate world, is I love mentoring younger women. And I love mentoring women who are in the business world, just based on my experience of certain things. So it's not that I'm doing this, it may sound silly, to make a ton of money, but it's an abundance is really such a good word because it's about getting out of it what I'm putting into it, I guess. And I'm putting a lot of time into this. I want to be reaping more rewards than I am.
Okay, all right. So are you doing activities that are not producing results?
No, I would say everything that I do does produce a result of some sort. It's not always monetarily.
Okay, okay.
And
okay, then the other thing to look at, you mentioned that you said this with a lot of passion, by the way, that you love mentoring, particularly women and young women in business, and which really goes into leadership.
Yes.
And you have a lot of experience in that area.
Yes.
And you have a lot of credentials in that area. From your experience, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes. I think what I'm struggling with, Dominique, to be very honest, is being down here in Asheville. It's really a very different world from New York. And initially, my my thinking, and it still continues to be that because I have a couple clients in New York, both individual and corporate, is to work in both areas. But and it could also be my style. It's been I've not cracked the nut here as I'd like to yet, but I'm still working on it.
Okay.
Asheville, North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
How far is Charlotte from there?
It's 2.5 hours. It's 2.5 hours. And for me to try to work in Charlotte would just be one other thing to put on my plate that doesn't need to be there. Because I don't have a network there. So I have a network in New York, and I'm building a network here in Asheville. And I'm also involved in the travel business in a certain way by way of writing and the publications. So it's just one more thing I, don't choose not to put on my plate. But some of the things I'm looking at this year, and I think maybe with the exception of one or two on the call, is, the way of selling and marketing your business today. And I was in sales and marketing on the corporate arena for so many years, it changes every day, and the whole social media aspect of it is terribly overwhelming.
Yeah,
I'm loving learning it, but it is just so overwhelming.
Well, isn't Asheville a town that has a lot of conferences like the Grove Park Inn and things that you could?
Yes, there are, and it is. It's part of my. I've been making lists for well over a week now, and it's part of. It is on my to-do list to look at speaking when conferences come in.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. It was on my list last year. Just
that's okay. That's okay.
I'm just moving it over to this one.
Yeah, that's okay. For speaking at conferences, the organizers are not usually in the location of the event.
No, they're not.
So it's a matter of finding the list of the programs, the events that are taking place in Asheville, and then finding out who are the organizers of those events, and then being able to contact them. That would be the path. The other thing to do, Leslie, is to you have more than one track, because you've got your travel business, your travel-related business, and from your publishing and from the writing that you've done and you do, and then you've got the leadership or coaching or image development, however you want to package that.
Right.
In that area, Leslie, have you found a way to package that for people in a way that makes sense?
Well, that's what I did is piggyback on the travel piece, and my business is called Smart Women on the Go. So I have helped a lot of people in packing for trips, and focus some of my writing so it's more fashion-oriented, traveling in style type of thing. So I'm combining the two, but I haven't made that full jump yet, which is what this year will be about. Okay.
I have a suggestion that you can throw away, or not, but I'm going to throw it out there. And it's because of what I heard in the tone when you were sharing it, is your passion and the energy surrounding mentoring. And that I would like to encourage you to explore putting together some kind of either a coaching program or a presentation, a live program for women in the business world that produces the result that you are seeking for them. And then with that, because if that is going to be your purpose or what drives you, then the other things that will support that are the how. So how, it's maybe image and self-image would be an area that you address. Or it's if these are women in business and they are traveling, then that's another support area. How do they show up at these other business events and look appropriate to not only their job but also to the locale where they're showing up. And so I don't know, this is what I'm thinking. And then to look at what are the organizations that invest in leadership development, and you may have access to that through your, your former training and development and HR background and contacts. And it may mean that you travel to a city for an event, but that the work can be followed through, can be continued afterwards virtually. And that's the beauty of technology today.
Right. And that was I had a little list here of questions that I'd hope I didn't send ahead of time, but I'm really curious your experience and others in consulting virtually.
Well, I have done, most of my work is live, and I love the live interaction, but I have absolutely no problem doing the virtual work. And in fact, if I'm going to be mobile, I have to have probably a good 60 to 80% of my work available online, which is why over the past year we developed the Skills to Services program as an online onboarding program to, to help consultants get their businesses moving in the service area. And then, the next area will be a business building platform for how do you get, your business growing. That doesn't require being in a live environment.
Right.
And although it's fun to do that, and image consultants in particular love, the touchy-feely and hugs and kisses and being together, but it's not a requirement.
Right.
Or as long as there is live interaction, as opposed to passive delivery, meaning videos that you can just view whenever the hell you want to. But the live interaction I find to be absolutely critical. I have found that some business professionals are very happy to have the phone sessions because it's less time on their part. Whether they travel to an appointment or even when someone travels to them, there's always the chit-chat time. That adds up to the conversation, whereas you have a lot less of that when you're on the phone or when you're on Skype or when you set up a webinar. And when you set up a webinar, you can use it like this one has PowerPoint slides, so that you can supplement the session with some visuals if you need to. And so I have no problems doing it, but if anyone else has any other ideas, about their experiences, I'm open to having you share.
What about individual image consulting, though? Do you do that? Do you do a lot of that by Skype?
I do not do a lot of that, but I have done some closet sessions by Skype, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes, but not for new clients. I've done it for former clients whose wardrobes I already know. Or people I've not seen for a while. So where they basically hold up what they have or they try things on, and it takes just as much time, like maybe in an hour they can show you lots of things, and that's for the purpose of me just getting a re-inventory in preparation for a shopping session. But in terms of doing an analysis on the phone, or on Skype for closets, I'm not finding a good program for that, and I haven't found a good software. And on my hit list, when I do recreate a new team, because I can't be the one to do it, I started researching some image tools and platforms that are out there where consultants can either find tools that are already that have been created, like self-analysis programs and things like that. I've not found any that are really good. Not yet. There is a shopping resource that I'm exploring, and that's probably one of the things I'll be introducing probably very soon. And it's a company that has access to a gazillion vendors, and it's for shopping online. But they offer commissions. So you could go to Macy's, you could go to your regular vendors, and then get a commission on the sales for your clients. And you don't get a commission when you bring clients to Macy's.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that could be very appealing. But in order to do that well, the consultant needs to really understand their client's body.
Yeah, right.
Their coloring and also their clothing personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you know that, then it's fine to do that. And in the beginning, working with a client like that, in that way, there will be hit or miss. And I find that, you just have to build that into the expectation so that if you build an honest expectation or set an honest expectation for your client, then it's not a problem. Like I know, because I know Samantha's on the line and Samantha specializing in menswear, is that one of the things that with men is that it is trial and error when you are working with a male client in terms of fit. Is that not right, Samantha?
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't specialize in menswear. I just added it last year to my service offering. But yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And has it been working for you so far?
Yeah, it's been great. Everything you said about working with men was spot on.
Yeah. Good. All right. So the fit issue is challenging in the beginning, but once you've got that down, that's just like the technical analysis of a person. But once you've got that down, then you can do everything more virtually in terms of finding them new resources. And then in terms of if you are going to do something online for any of you, particularly in the shopping area, you could conceivably set up a kind of a retainership for some of those clients who absolutely need to have a certain number of items. On a regular basis because their job requires that they show up looking current and new and like a leader. So what is someone's leadership style? What is someone's management, image style? What is someone's teaching style if they're a teacher? They need different types of items. What is their networking style? I've been doing a lot of networking here in New York over the past 9 months and really enjoying seeing where I am clear and where I am not clear, because as I refocused my business last year to move away from training image consultants as my primary source of revenues to working in the corporate area, I needed to get out into new environments. And what was really interesting for me to discover is that how unclear I was in talking about my work to business professionals, where I know exactly what to say to image consultants who are starting their businesses that I can do in my sleep. And it was very, very interesting revelation to see where they, that was expression, what do you do, Dominique? So, and
they say, oh, I want you to do that for me.
Yeah. So one of the last things I said is, well, I kind of become the genie in your closet. Instead of the genie in your closet, you have the genie in your head telling you what to wear.
Perfect.
That was just a fun thing to do. So where was I going with this, with the online? Does that give you any ideas?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Who else has some questions that you'd like to ask me? Stefania, before you fall asleep.
No, I'm listening to you.
Okay. What are some of your questions that you would like to pose, if you have any?
I've heard about what you said about the FIT course, and I'm interested in your coming to Europe.
Okay. Well, I'll be in Brussels in the end of February, beginning of March. I'll just be there for about 2 weeks, for a short 2 weeks. I'm not planning any work activities there. I have some family business to deal with, and but I will be planning to do a training. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but when I have a colleague on location in Brussels who's actually one of my graduates. I love it, by the way, when people who have come through my programs become my partners. Dolly Parmar is her name. She is living in Belgium, came to New York for one of my boot camps, and then I needed someone to refer a trainer to JP Morgan at the time. And I was doing the program for their New York office and then also for their Hong Kong office via telepresence, and then they needed someone to do it in the UK, and I said, Dolly. So that worked out really well because I trusted her to use my materials. And we have since had a really wonderful working relationship of, exchanging ideas and integrity. And so it's with Dolly that I'll be developing training in Europe. Belgium, because I have a base there. But it doesn't mean I won't go to other places like Italia.
Good John.
Mi piace Italia.
It's beautiful. You have to come here.
I will. My grandfather was Italian. So, yes. So Stefania, are you pretty much set on only taking classes in Europe, or do you have any possibility of coming to New York?
I would really like to come to New York, but at the moment I can't move from here.
I understand. Yeah. Okay.
And for me, it's easier to move in Europe. The best would be Italy, but Belgium is not so far from here.
No, yeah. And what is your current work, Stefania?
I am in the branch sales coordinator of a worldwide company.
Okay. And does your do you do sales presentations?
Yeah, I visit clients and I support them, especially, but in my everyday work I have found out during all these years that the first impression really counts, and I'm sure that here in Italy this aspect is not deepened.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, the reason I ask is that one of the things that I explore when I'm working with consultants and helping them get their businesses going is to take a look at what would be what we call in the United States low-hanging fruit, and that is what is easily accessible in terms of business. And because I'm not sure if your goal is to work with people who are in companies, but if you are, then one place where you could start practicing is with your own company. You wouldn't charge them for, giving the sales team coaching or a seminar on image and professional presence, but it's a place to get started. So have you thought of anything like that?
Yeah, I thought.
Okay.
I thought about it, but I need some preparation. I can't do it without it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. You don't, because you don't want to do it improperly.
Yeah.
The good thing about working with companies is that the people who are usually in the programs as participants are usually very, very interested in the information. The challenge is that the consequence of doing a bad job is bigger than when you have one client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the reputation spreads faster. So whenever I have had a corporate opportunity where I didn't know the material as well as I should, I did so much extra preparation and practice before I let myself do it live. I was one of those persons that over-prepared. And so going back to Michelle, your your thing about not feeling ready about certain opportunities, sometimes when you're faced with an opportunity is you look and you see, okay, I think I'm not ready, but what would I need to do or have in order to be ready? You know, and then you answer that.
Right.
So back to Stefania, do you have a time frame for this particular goal?
You know, I would like to reach my goal within the end of this year.
Okay. Okay.
This is my goal, and I'm really, I want to reach it, no?
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things that might be support to you, and I'll give you all the details in a minute, is the 3-week coaching Kickstart that I'm doing starting next weekend, because it will start putting things into really tangible lists for you so that you can see what are the resources that you have, what's the clarity that you need, and then what are the action steps, and when can you actually put these on your calendar. So we'll talk about that in shortly. Yeah. So who else has a question that you'd like to ask me? Nobody has questions.
Dominique, I can ask a question.
Sure.
I do.
Yep. Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It's Michelle. How do you know when you're ready to launch your business and charge for your services?
Okay. So you know that you are ready when you have put together a list of services that has clearly defined expectation, meaning that in a color analysis, by the end of the session, the client will receive A, B, and C. And that you have put together a list of services that is clearly identified, that you have a time frame, and that you understand the value to your client. Sometimes, you know, just doing the practice people is all that's needed, and that's why we have you do the practice people in the Skills to Services online program, because that has been, I was surprised when I first put together the Skills to Services program at how many people had not started their businesses after taking classes and classes and classes. And that's one of the reasons why that program was put together for that purpose. But sometimes what someone needs is confidence. Sometimes they need clarity that they have some very clear steps about the service and the results. And some people need tools, you know, like they need a workbook, or they need to have color drapes, or they need to have a communication style, you know, profile, or some, you know, whatever it is that they need. But you need to know what do you think is keeping you from charging. Do you have any idea?
Fear.
Have you done any practice people?
I have.
Okay.
I have. They're very happy, but I can't get past the doing it for free versus charging.
Okay, so that is it might be a self-worth issue where, and I don't mean to say that in a negative way, but it may be that you're not seeing the value. I would suggest that you go back to the people whose, you know, closets or colors that you've done, and you ask them, and it could be maybe you do a survey and ask them what is the key result that you got out of this. Maybe come up with a short survey of 5 questions and ask them what was the most valuable, what can they do better as a result of what you did for them, as just 2 questions for starters. I don't know if anyone has any additional questions to suggest. Anyone who's done some market research or evaluations. But that's one thing, because when you find out what is it that they are saying about their positive experience, and then you have to ask yourself, what's that worth? What is that? What is the value of that? Not so much in money, but what is the value of that result to your client? And it's hard because of the fact that when we are working with friends, they don't always see that there's a huge value unless we help them see the light.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that's really important. Yeah.
Sometimes people don't really take you seriously until you charge them.
Well, that's because they don't have skin in the game.
Right.
Yeah, because they don't have skin in the game, and that's something that's very, very common when they don't have skin in the game, meaning that they haven't spent money, or they've spent time, because you've taken their time. I mean, there was a colleague of mine many years ago who did a survey, sent a survey, written one. This is before internet, so it's really a long time. And she sent a survey to some of her clients because she hadn't heard from a lot of people for a while, and they weren't rehiring her. And so she sent a survey, and it was anonymous, and she got some really hard information for her to digest. She almost wanted to close up her business because she didn't realize she herself was coming across as a dictator. I don't doubt that's you, by the way. You're far too nurturing a person to be that way. But in her case, she got some really hard information. So I'm not suggesting that you're going to get that information, but I think that you're not necessarily hearing what they're getting out of it because you might not have asked the question.
I think you're right.
And if you want to send me a couple of questions that you think you'd like to ask for a survey, I can add to it if you like.
I would love that. Actually, I registered with the high school. We have a continuing education program for adults in the evening.
Uh-huh.
And this spring, well, May, actually, I'll be doing a color analysis class and using your materials.
Great. Fabulous.
I'm going to definitely incorporate a survey at the end of that course. And if you don't mind, I'd like to send you my course description, which I had to write up for the catalog.
Yep, feel free to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm moving, but slowly, and I'm afraid to take the next step.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Well, do this one step and then you'll see where that leads you. Sometimes if we put too many steps in front of us, we get overloaded by the too many steps. Sometimes we need to do the one step that will provide us with the information we need in order to get clear on what's behind it.
Yeah, well, I did this, I've done a few color analysis personally, one-on-one, and they were positive, but I have a problem speaking in front of groups. That's why I signed on to do the continuing ed course.
Okay.
Because it's a minimum of six people at one time.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, since some of these questions are actually leading me to one opportunity for you, I'm just going to do that right now, and then I will stay on the line afterwards for additional questions. So here we go. This is what I'm doing over the next couple of weeks, and as a 3-week resource to kickstart, the new year. So it's a 3-week crash coaching program, and I say that because in 3 weeks you won't find everything you need to know, and but the purpose of it is primarily to help you see what is it that you need to be clear on, what is it that you can leverage in terms of your talents and your resources, so that you can ultimately propel yourself on your way to, your new year of your dreams and your goals. That's what the whole purpose of the 3 weeks are. So how do we do it? There are 3 live 60-minute group coaching sessions, which are online, similar to this one. There are 3 one-to-one, what I call business review sessions, and one of those sessions is a 30-minute individual coaching call, and the other 2 are 2 business plan reviews via email. Now, when I say business plan, it's not like the big daunting business plan. It's more of your action steps, and this is where I want to go. These are kind of the steps that I want to do. And it's not just one email. It's back and forth. It's a conversation that goes back and forth. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that within the 3 weeks, you will get a chance to get clear on what your goals are, to get clear on your resources, meaning what do you have in your arsenal of resources that you could do right now? And those are some things that help us see, oh, there's money on the table here. Like, Michelle, your program at the high school is one example. But I'm sure that there are other things that can be created if we really put our heads together and explore and inventory those resources and ultimately create a roadmap for yourself. Because one of the challenges in moving forward or not moving forward is that we have way too many ideas and then we don't know how to focus. So getting moving and taking action now and sooner than later. The other thing that's added to this is the private online support forum, it's on Facebook, and it's a private, so it's only for the people who are in this 3-week coaching program. But it doesn't stop after 3 weeks. The forum is going to continue till at least 3 months, if not beyond. So, and what you can do in that forum is use that to post additional questions, share resources, and exchange, ideas there, similar to what we do in the Skills to Services, but this one is specifically for business development and growing your business right now. And so the cost of this program is $333. I had to have a theme here. So it is $333 for the 3 group sessions, the 3 30-minute one-on-ones, and the additional online support of the reviews plus the forum. And for the first 3 clients, actually, for the first 3 people who sign up, your 30-minute coaching session is upgraded to a 60-minute session, or if you prefer, 2 30-minute sessions. Some people find that in 30 minutes they get, enough support and help to move forward, and that they like to break it up. So, and I'm all for doing that. So basically, you want to ask yourself, what is the cost? The cost is not just $333, but what is the cost if you gain a new client, or if you are able to start charging for clients sooner than later? Mm-hmm. What is the cost if you wait to put off getting started? And that's, that's not like for Stefania. Stefania's not ready to get started immediately because of the fact that, she's got a day job and the travel is challenging for her to at least come to the States. But there are other options, to help Stefania. And then if you gain one shortcut to your success, what's the value to that? I always ask people. And then also, what's the cost of satisfaction? If you're moving forward, then you are moving forward, and then you're not remaining stuck. So little things that make a big difference is, one is being on top of your clarity. It's also learning that to stay open, staying open to possibilities, and that when I have found that I have a list of things that I want to get done and accomplish in a year or a time frame, and I am too rigid with that list, then what happens is I can't see what's another opportunity that was actually much better than my silly little list. Or it means that I'm not open to a lesson that I needed to overcome in the process. Those are some of the things that make a big difference. But, you know, my goal for you for this year is to, you know, provide you some guidance and support so that you end up going for it. And at the end of the year, you can be like this little girl and be, you know, triumphant. I did it. I made it. Whoa. I love this picture. It's nobody I know, by the way.
Can you tell us, or maybe everyone else knows, the difference in this and the skills and service to service program?
Yes, I'd be happy to share the differences. This program, Allison, is this 3-week program. It's designed specifically to focus on your clarity and your business goals. So it's, whereas the skills to services, it leads you on about 6 weeks of weekly videos and tutorials and live coachinars, I call them, because they're coaching sessions that are live online, like this one. This is an example of what they're like. And what you do in each week is you take the learning that you got from the videos, and the videos are me working with a client, and on all the different steps from the assessment, what we call the QCAT assessment, which stands for Q because I'm Q, that's my nickname, the client assessment technique. And it's a way of understanding what your client needs and wants in a very, very short amount of time. And that's the beginning of the session. And then we go through, we demonstrate a color analysis, we demonstrate a body and fit, we go through a closet analysis, we take the client shopping, and there's also an added bonus of the working with a hairstylist and an affiliate. And the last session is actually packaging, is how do you package your services. So now that you've, and what I forgot to tell you is that for every module, you find a test person to practice with. It could be a friend, it could be a relative, it could be a paying client, and you actually apply what you learned through the videos, and then you put it into action and apply it. And then you come to the live coachinar with, Dominique, I did this and it didn't work, how come? Or, God, it was so easy. I've had both results. And then I walk you through in the coachinar, what did you actually do, so that we kind of dissect it and we see, oh, okay, well, did you think of saying X? And then, no, I didn't think of saying X. And then saying X might have shifted the way the client responded. So it helps you get hand-holding and support and refinement along the way. That's one of the things.
And you can do that online as well?
It's completely online. It's completely virtual. That is actually starting, where's the date? I believe it's starting a little bit later than we had thought, Michelle. I'll have to talk to you about that. It may be starting at the beginning of March.
So,
okay. I thought I saw April 8th.
April 8th. Oh, yes, it is starting April 8th. You're absolutely right. I made a mistake. I'm looking at a wrong calendar. That's not useful.
Would the Kickstart, it would be fine to do the Kickstart before the Skills to Services program, or is that something you need to do after the Skills to Services?
No, I think the Kickstart is actually a good thing to do for anybody at whatever stage they're at. But I think it's particularly good to do before you get too deep into things, because it'll help you get clearer about your choices. And it will help you get clear about where you want to spend, your travel dollars, your training dollars, your marketing dollars, and your time to focus on who do you want to service.
Right. All right.
Yeah. They're not. They don't overlap at all, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And they both include the online forum. They have two separate online forums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dominique, you might want to share with everyone your EPIC program too.
Oh, yes. Yes, that one is what Michelle is referring to is the Advanced Professional Image Communication course. It's a 3-day program that teaches people how to sell, but it's selling without selling, because most women and most image consultants don't like sales. And I hated sales, by the way. I absolutely detested it, and I ran away as much as possible until I realized I couldn't pay the rent.
Yeah.
I had to overcome that one. And basically, it's a program that teaches you how to work with clients who are high-level professionals and organizations by understanding what are their needs, what are their wants, and then how do you propose a solution that is exactly what they're looking for. And so it is sales, but it's also teaches you how to do a presentation. And that one is what that I'll be doing in February. Yeah. And the Menswear program is what Samantha did, and that's a 1-day program on working with male clients, and it's all the fundamentals of the essentials. There's a video that you pre-view before coming to the program to save on time, and I bring in a live client during the class so that you get to see me working with a live male client in the class, and then it's the communication do's and don'ts. It's how do you make recommendations for combinations. It goes over the fit, but it's also how to market to men as well. All the programs that I do will always have a marketing component, because it's my desire that you all make money. And it is my mission that I provide tools and education that not only support you in delivering the services, but to support you in getting paid for delivering those services. And the only way to do that is with marketing. Yeah.
Dominique, when is that male clients course?
It's on Sunday, February 8th.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I'll be doing is I'll be sending out some new information about all of that in the coming days. By the way, one of the things that happened to me last year is that my website got hacked, and it's still down because I have to put up a new one. So it was something that you won't find any information there. There's just a holding page. It got hacked. Yeah.
Right. Dominique, hello? Sorry.
Hi.
Hello? Hi. This is Nia. I'm speaking about your website. Is there, because I tried to go on and I saw that it is just the holding page. So where is a place that we can go, I guess, in the interim to find out the dates of the courses and the costs associated with the courses? That's one question. And then my other question is, for me specifically, given that I've taken the majority of the image consulting certificate program at FIT, but it's been a while since I've actually been in the classes. If I wanted to take some classes with you, what would be, I guess, like the top 3 or top 5 courses that you would recommend or suggest being like the must attend or the must have courses to sort of, before I launch into launching my business?
Okay. Well, we haven't done this. Have you?
Nope, not me.
Okay. So there, if color analysis is of interest to you, that is coming up January 18th, and then also March 22nd, and that's a 1-day, and they're on a Sunday.
Okay.
The thing that might be the most there are two things that might be very valuable for you, and that is the skills to services, because what that does is that actually puts everything into practical application. And
Okay.
Their only requirement for that is that someone already have some image background. So image 1 is a suitable prerequisite, or the whole image FIT program, or image training from another source. I have had people taken skills to services who have been personal shoppers, and they've gotten, effective value out of it. But you would certainly be eligible for it. Also, with your children, traveling, might be, and sitting in a classroom may be a complicated thing. So that's why that one might be one of the more advantageous things to consider.
Okay. If you ever, I'm sorry to interject, so skills to services is only always virtual? It's never...
Yes, that one.
Okay.
Now, I do have a 5-day image builder boot camp, which is what Stefania has been interested in, but when I do it in Europe. And that one is all the technical skills of working with clients. It has basic fundamental color analysis. It also has body and line, personal shopping. It has not personal shopping, but personal style. It has accessories, balance points, face shapes, all the things that you have learned in image 1 and 2. But if you feel that you want it to be taught in a completely hands-on way, then that would be a different investment. My concern, though, is that because you've taken the entire or almost the entire FIT program, you may be surprised if you learn that there are some things that are review. So that's why I'll talk to you offline if you want, and then go over that with your goals, because I think that I am interested in having people take programs that I offer because they support them in reaching your goals. Not just to get more butts in seats.
And when does the 3-week Kickstart begin?
It starts on what is the date? I have it in front of me. It starts on Sunday, January 11th, and then it will be on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, at 11 a.m. and then on the following Sunday, January 25th at 3. And I will send all this information to you. But as I said, the first 3 people who sign up do get extra coaching added in. So if that's an impetus, it's a carrot out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What other questions do you have?
Dominique, when can I sign up? It's Michelle.
You can sign up right away.
Okay, I will do that right after our webinar.
Terrific. Okay. Oh, and I see we had someone join in from Brazil, Andrea Fragas. I don't have plans to come to Brazil right now. So right now my focus will be on going to Europe, and if I come to Brazil, it will be to do the 3-day corporate communication class. So that answers that question. Yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted somebody.
No, it was me. It was Allison. I was trying to figure out Martin Luther King Day. I will be in New York, but I'm supposed to be somewhere, looks like 12:30. So these things, it is 12:30. So if I did the class, it would be from 11 to 12.
Right, 11. No, well, it'll be. I'm not very rigid about the time. If it goes a little bit longer, So yes, 11 to 12, and if you know that you have to leave, we make sure we answer your questions first.
Okay.
And they're all recorded. They're all recorded too, by the way.
Oh, so you can listen to them later?
Yes. This will be recorded, and you'll get a link for it.
All right, that sounds good. So I'd like to sign up for that as well, but you want me to wait when we get off of this?
Yes. Great.
So Michelle and I are number 1 and 2.
That's great. Super. Well, this is good news. Any other questions? Okay, well, I have really enjoyed spending my Sunday afternoon with you all, and I really look forward to having more conversations with you, and particularly to see you all reaching your particular goals and dreams, whatever they happen to be. I wish you all a very, very satisfying and productive and fulfilling and profitable, healthy next year. And have a really fabulous evening. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend this with me.
Thank you, Dominique, very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Dominique, if we want to sign up, how do we sign up?
You can, I'll be sending you I'll be sending each of you, actually as a follow-up, a registration form and also the details so that all the infrastructure will be in that. You'll get that, you'll get that tonight.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Dominique. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay.